Hey everybody, it is Radleigh Valentine here with the Angel Tarot Show exclusively on mindbodyspirit.fm. And I've got my buddy and marketing guru, Muni Syed, with me.
Hello. Hi, Rad. Hey, everybody listening. It's a pleasure to be here with you again. This has been really fun this month, sharing all the stuff we've been sharing. And
Yeah.
that brings me to today's topic, which is something I've always wanted to ask you. And it's surprising to me, we've never
Oh,
had this conversation before. But
okay.
who are the archangels that take care of us as we're launching our spiritual businesses?
Hmm. Well, the first one is Archangel Michael, which, is like needs no introduction. Everybody knows him. Everybody loves him. You're even wearing his color, even though people on Mind Body Spirit can't see, but it's sapphire blue. But the other archangel is one that not everyone's heard of, and it's Archangel Ariel. And but let's start with Michael.
Yes.
So for those of you who are actually watching this on YouTube, Archangel Michael is known to be this archangel that comes in sapphire blue. Here we have a picture of him. It's a very traditional image of Archangel Michael with the long blonde hair and all the muscles and the armor and the sword of light. And so that doesn't mean that Michael looks like that, because archangels do not have a typical appearance. They have different appearances based on different people. He doesn't even look like that to me. For me, Archangel Michael is kind of like more Clark Kent, a little bit nerdy, still handsome, but just going to take off those glasses and be and save the world. So Archangel Michael's name means he who is like God. And he is the archangel that helps us to sever our energetic connections to the past. Now, why is that the archangel for business, you might say? Well, there's multiple reasons. And the first reason is that we have experiences as human beings that limit us. And so we might be in this space where it's like, we've tried to have a business before, it didn't work out. These thoughts are going through our head. We're like, I can't do this. I tried, I failed, I'm not successful, I'm not good at marketing, blah, 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 blah. All these thoughts, it's all what? It's all ego, right? It's ego. And so what does Archangel Michael do, among other things? He is a total swashbuckler when it comes to eradicating that pirate called ego. He just like swings that sword and ego has to get out of the way. He also severs our energetic connections to the past. So we aren't ruled by the past. We aren't ruled by those experiences that we had in the past where we were like, oh, I can't do this. He also can wrap us in an energetic ball of sapphire blue light that makes us feel protected and safe. Why do we need to do that? Well, hey, you know what? Out in the marketing world, especially in social media, we can feel attacked. We can feel judged. We can feel as though everybody's watching us and watching us not do it successfully. Again, we're back to ego. So Michael can come in and help us with that. Michael is also the archangel of life purpose. And so he can help us to get really, really clear. So to the extent that we're not quite clear, to the extent that we feel like, I don't know, astrology, numerology, tarot, I don't know, can't make up my mind, to help us to like line up. Because what Michael wants more than anything is for us to be happy. Michael is, in my experiences of channeling Michael and doing my angel walks, which I do, is where I go for a mindfulness walk and allow whatever archangels to show up. Michael is just a gregarious, really sweet guy that's more likely than not to put his like arm around your shoulder and pull you to him and go, it's going to be okay, and give you a noogie to the head as a joke and say, it's going to be all right. I got your back. It's going to be all right. But you know what? In Michael's viewpoint from my channelings, Michael loves his job. He loves it. He loves what he does. He is crazy about his job. And that's part of why he's the archangel of life purpose. He wants us to be happy. He wants us to be in a place of joy. And when we are in joy, when we love what we do, you know what? pops out of our cute little heads? Success. Success pops out of our cute little heads. And so we have this experience of, wow, I'm doing what I want to do, and I'm doing it successfully because I'm doing what I want to do. And therefore, I am happy, and therefore I do more. It's a circle. It's a big, beautiful blue sapphire circle. What do you think
I would
about
like to schedule my discovery call with Michael immediately.
We are currently experiencing a longer than expected wait time. So please hang on. And your call is important to us, and we will be right with you. Actually, that's not the way it works with Michael. Michael is omnipresent, and he is always available to us. There is no hold time on the Archangel hotline. They immediately.
Well, and that's, I think it's when I think back across my journey of getting from where I was when I started this kind of thing, where I was like, oh, I should help people do this. And that was like 7 years ago, right? So I've been sitting on this thing for a while because I didn't feel safe. I think that was like the ultimate, point, is that I didn't feel like I knew who to be, which is such a silly thing to think about now, that I, didn't feel comfortable being myself. I feel like I was being pushed in the direction of trying to be somebody that I wasn't, and I didn't feel safe. So every time I tried to like approach it, I'd get that feeling like when, like you're watching a movie and like the camera like tilts over the edge of a building, or if you don't like roller coasters, or like whatever it is, you get that sinking feeling in your stomach. That was the feeling that I would get every time I tried to do something or take a step forward in my business. And it wasn't until I got past all that identity stuff, but also that I felt safe to be able to go and do that. So I'm grateful that Michael can do that for people that are trying to do this. And that's the guy, or that's the angel, I should say, that you're going to be leaning on in those hard moments, in those moments where you don't feel safe. That's who you're calling on. In those moments where you don't feel protected, that's who you're calling on. It's a great kind of mantra. So what would be a way to like communicate with Michael or ask for that help when you're, freezing up in front of your computer, or you're freaking out about something? What's the best way to talk to him?
It's like, talk to him like, here's how I talk to him. I talk to him like he's my older brother in a way, or at the very least, a bestie. And where it's like, it's literally me basically going, okay, Michael, this is making me insane. Because there's not a framework for it for me. It's just talk to them, talk to them like, well, like you and I were talking to one another right before we came on here. It's just like open-hearted, trusting, knowing that this dude doesn't have an ego, and he isn't going to judge us no matter what. And just say, it's like, okay, Michael, this is what's driving me crazy. I know it is. I know it's crazy, and I know it doesn't make any sense, but I'm going to give myself grace and go, I'm a spirit having a human experience. And so, okay, so I'm like, this is really whacking me out, and I need to not be whacked out about that. And I know it's ego. And so I just really need you to help me to wrestle this to the ground and help me to get clear. Because I think too, it's like, we always think of Uriel as the archangel of epiphany, but all archangels have the ability for epiphany. I'm saying this for the very first time. This is just coming out of my mouth. So it's
breaking news.
Breaking news. this just in. It's like all archangels have epiphanies. I mean, Raphael can help us to have an epiphany about our health. Jophiel can help us have an epiphany about our thoughts. Ariel can help us have an epiphany about our prosperity and abundance. So it's Uriel doesn't have a trademark on that. It's literally all the archangels can help us to have that brilliant new idea about how it is that we are going to function in our life in any given element. But given that Michael is like purpose, it's like an epiphany on our life purpose, which is career, which requires, to an extent, having a business and in some form or fashion. It does require feeling safe to do it, feeling unjudged, feeling as though we understand what it is that we're doing, and having the epiphany of what it is that we're supposed to be doing. And so, it's so funny, because it's like, before Archangel Michael's sort of like Oracle card deck, which came out, about 6 months ago. It's like before I worked on that project, I liked Michael. It's like I got it, it's cool. But it's like ever since then, it's like he's just my buddy. He's just, I love him so much. And there is no reason why anyone can't find happiness and joy and success in their career when you've got someone who has your back, literally, like Michael. And so it's definitely something that people should consider. It's like, reach out to this big blue guy and let him help you. Let him help you to expand what it is that you're wanting to create in your career and in your life. The other archangel I brought up is one that people may not know as much, and her name is Ariel. And so she comes in a pale pink color. For those who are watching, here she is on the Strength card from Angel Wisdom Tarot cards. And so for me, and again, archangels show up for different people in different ways, but for me, Ariel is a redhead. And she doesn't dress like an angel because part of her gig is that she is a protector of nature and animals. So she doesn't have this big white flowy gown because it's like, to do what with? Catch it on every bush in the forest? I mean, it's like, that makes no sense. So I always think of her as being dressed like the elves in Lord of the Rings. She's dressed in green. She's got pants. She has a tunic. And she has this pack that she wears on her side that's full of coins and jewels that are meant to bring abundance and prosperity to us. To create that element for us. But also it's important to know that one of my favorite pairings is Michael and Ariel, not necessarily from the standpoint of trying to create a business that can be successful, but from the standpoint of Michael is safety and protection and Ariel is courage. And when we are courageous, when we have the absolute unending cornering of the market of self-confidence in what we are doing, and we also feel safe and protected, and we have the clarity of what we're supposed to be doing, and we have the archangel of abundance and prosperity, we can't lose. There's just no way. There's no way to lose. You can't lose when you've got this team of this, and I like to think of them of working together, and it's that sapphire blue and the pale pink, but swirled together, because it's a collaboration. It's an archangel collaboration based upon your success. It's a committee meeting where you actually get things done, where things actually get decided. But it's like, they're not the head of the committee, you are. This is your team here to help support you, to help you to take that angelic energy out there and really make a success in your business.
In the visualization of this, where would you put them? So Michael's got my back, so he's usually behind. Would Ariel be in front to kind of
I would say yes.
Courageously charge the way
charge forward. I mean, she's
Yeah.
dressed for it, right? She's
Yeah.
dressed to run. So it's like charging forward to be like, to be like literally reaching into her bag and throwing gold coins into the air and letting them rain down upon you. I mean, and it's like, the gold coins are a metaphor, but you have to think about them as a metaphor from the standpoint as they're magic. It's literally the magic of abundance and prosperity raining down on your cute little head, with Michael behind you, keeping you safe and protected and severing your energetic connections from past and ego. Even if they start to reattach, it's like he's there and goes, nope, not on my watch. And they're gone. That's one of the things I love about having been a little boy. We have the best sound effects. I mean, think about that sword. It's like a lightsaber, right?
Just slices through everything.
Just slices through everything. It does.
It's interesting thinking about what you're saying in the sense of everything I know about launching spiritual businesses, in the sense
Mhm.
that there's so much that needs to be thought about in the foundational building of something. If you've built something that's like too far extended away from the core of who you are, that it creates an instability that even if you have tons and tons of success on top of it, may eventually come crumbling down because it was built from an insecure, unsafe place.
Right.
Right. And so there's something about the foundation of safety and security and protection that's important. And it's not just safety, security, and protection of you, but it's also of how you're doing what you're doing. So there's multiple levels that Michael will work in the way I imagine it, in creating a way for us to have businesses that are already set up to succeed because we've done some of the work that we need to create that foundation for it. And then the thing I get excited about with Ariel is not just the gold coins, but the jewels, but also but the other part of it too is the agility. You describe her as kind of being this
Right.
adventure elf, right? So she's ready for anything. She knows the path ahead. She can guide you through and around and past the obstacles and past all the, the orcs or whatever that are out in the thing. And so it's knowing that you have a trusted guide that can show you the way, and that you're protected because someone's always got your back. And I think if you were to approach anything in that mindset, those two angels would be amazing resources for you. But specifically when it comes to businesses, I can't imagine a better pair of angels to be working with, because to me, that just sets you up to have a totally smooth and easy experience. So it's not that you don't have to do anything. You're not standing still and letting them do all the work, but you are taking a step forward, a step forward, a step forward, knowing that the path is being paved ahead of you and knowing that you're protected, from everything else. So I think that's how I'm visualizing all of this. And it was interesting, you were talking about how you see Archangel Michael as Clark Kent. We talked about this before, but never in depth, but I think I see him more as all angels as color. I think the way that it happens for me is when I notice a specific color where there's nothing else. Like on my camera, for example, there's blue lights that turn on when it's recording. That to me, or the shirt that I'm wearing, or I'll be walking somewhere and you see something blue, or you see yellow flowers, you see whatever. That's how it seems to me that the angels sort of appear to me, or the way that I connect with them. And that's why we make choices about banners and buttons and things like that on the website, because we want to have a little bit of that experience mixed in there. But how would you say most people could start noticing those moments where Michael's with them, or when Ariel's clearing the path? Like, what does that look like sometimes in real life?
Yeah, sure. So the way that you are perceiving the archangels, I think, is rather clairvoyant. So there
Mm,
are four primary clairs that people really tend to talk about. And so there's clairvoyance, which means to see. And it's usually to see in the mind's eye. Clairvoyance has become almost a generic term for psychic ability,
mm,
even though it actually technically is a very specific kind clairvoyance. So people might see blue in their mind's eye or see pink in their mind's eye. Um, they could even see, they might see if they have like focused on it or something, or it's just their vibe. They might literally in their mind's eye see Michael show up.
mm,
I don't claim to be clairvoyant. I'm more claircognizant with a touch of clairaudience, and yet when I am doing channeling work, and I'm just sort of like noticing this for the first time too, this just in as well, is that I actually am rather clairvoyant. And and I think part of that, Mooney, is because in my channeling of stuff, I part of what I'm trying to do is describe things, to the people who are listening to the channeling or reading the channeling, is to just describe it. And so maybe some sort of clairvoyance shows up. Like I see Michael right now. He's leaning against the wall right there. His arms are crossed. He's just kind of grinning. He kind of does that, because he's like listening to me, and he's like, go for it, you know. But so you might see blue, you might see images of angels dressed in blue. Because he comes in blue, he's very often dressed in blue in paintings and in pictures and stuff like that. You might see the word Michael. You
Mm-hmm.
might you might see it over and over and over. Oh my God, I've got 87 emails and 27 of them are Michaels. People who are named Michael, past Michael Street, those kinds of things. Clairsentience is about feeling. And so, well, actually, let's back that up just a tish. So clairvoyance in your business can mean having a vision for your business.
Yeah.
Okay. Having a vision for your business. Clairsentience is about feeling. All right. And so it's like it's like you feel that Michael is with you. Michael comes with a little bit of heat. So maybe you have an angelic feeling and it feels like blue to you. Or if you practice working with angels, you're going to notice that Michael feels different than Ariel. And they do. I mean, it's like, and I've been doing this a long time, and it's like they are very different, and yet they both have a serious sense of humor. Ariel really loves to tease Michael. All the archangels love to tease Michael. They do, because Michael is like the one, right? He's the Superman, and the other angels like to tease him about it. But the thing is that Michael's in on the joke. He's like, I know, I get it, whatever, but this is my job, right? This is what I do. This is my job. So in clairsentience, it's like, how do you want your business to feel?
Mm-hmm.
How do you want it to feel to you? When you show up for your business every single day, how does that feel to you? And then the next one is clairaudience. That is to hear. And so it's usually hearing in the mind's ear. It can show up as, like, for me anyway, if I'm really not paying attention and it is a really serious situation and I am not getting the message, I will hear my guardian angels, literally hear them. And it's brief, because all they're really doing is like, we're just going to have to exert the effort to get Angel Boy's attention. And so they will. But then it's back to like the hearing with the ear or claircognizant. That with clairaudience in your business, it's like, what message do you want people to get about what it is that you are presenting to the world? And then finally, we have claircognizance. And claircognizance is to know. That is my primary clair. It's the most rare. It's also the biggest pain in the ass, because it's like, can I say that?
We'll bleep it.
My body spirit. Okay, great. So it's like, it's the biggest pain in the butt. Okay. Because it's like your mind wants to really mess with you and go, you know what? Hey, it's like, no, you're making this up. It's just your imagination. But when really it's like, no, this is information from the divine, from source, from the angels, and they're putting it in your head, and you're like, okay, I know this to be true. Mm-hmm. Know this to be true. And so what is it about your business that you know to be true? What is the literal essence of it that you know in your heart is what you are trying to portray? What are you trying to accomplish?
And it's interesting because hearing you talk about, because we've never had this conversation before. This is breaking news. This is really cool.
This is breaking news.
The thing that I'm hearing in all of this is that your ego is the thing that's going to muddy the waters on those communications every single time.
Every single time.
Yeah, every single time, right? So in this case, and I was just laughing for a second ago when you were talking about Michael standing there, because I'm sure he's got a t-shirt on that says your ego is not your amigo or something like that.
Well, he didn't, but he does now.
He does now. So, but it is
going like this.
Yeah, right. See, here.
He's pointing at his chest now.
But I look at what you're saying, because you're so right. I mean, the way that you approach all of this, those clairs, those senses, your spiritual sensitivities are all going to be a part of how your business operates. Mm-hmm. You can't just like shut that part down and not utilize it. You got to drink your own Kool-Aid. Is that a good way to say it? You got to believe in what you're doing, right? You have to be a product of your own discovery, or a product of your own work, in order for it to be authentic in a lot of ways. So if you're approaching your business like that, you're afraid of it, or that there's something wrong about it, or you don't fully believe it, or there's something in the way of you being able to be in total and clear alignment with those spiritual senses and those messages that are coming in, how on earth are you ever going to get it out there in a meaningful way that's going to connect with people? Like, how are you going to how is it ever going to be experienced or shared without this filter of ego on it, which people are going to be able to sense, one way or the other. If you're uncertain about what you're doing, and you're uncertain about what you want to share, and you're uncertain about any part of it, or that you've got any of those limiting thoughts about I'm not good enough, or I'm not smart enough, I don't have enough certifications, people are going to feel that on the other side of it. People are going to sense that on the other side of it when you're trying to talk about it. So the more work you can do to work with your archangels to get these clairs in order, to kind of get that messaging right and get that part of it taken care of, the easier it's going to be to go out there and talk about it, because you're not going to have to be like, I imagine it's like in music, when one of the things I always used to be impressed by is when musicians could transpose things up or down a key just by looking at it in their head.
Totally
Yeah.
agree.
But
That's magic.
it seems impossible to me. So I can't imagine having this like filtered information coming in from spirit and having to like transpose it in my mind as it's simultaneously coming in, and then somehow spit it out again. Seems like a lot of work and not fun at all.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, it's like, other than pure luck, and I have certainly bumped into people, especially in my accounting career, who were successful in business, and it was clear to me, it's like, okay, this is just luck, because no. But it's we are talking about spiritually based businesses here. So that means the people who are looking to you to provide a service, no matter what it is, are tuned in at some level.
Yeah.
Right? This is not the muggles down the street who are going to work, on Wall Street, who are not maybe tuned in. Maybe they are, but not, maybe not. These are the people who are coming to you, are tuned in at some level. And so if you're scattered, if you are uncertain, if you don't understand what it is that you are trying to present, if you don't understand what it is that you are trying to do as a service to the world, they'll know. They will absolutely know. They'll feel the uncertainty. And even more so, I think, because I believe so strongly, and I've said it a million times, birds of a feather flock together. And so Radleigh's angel message is different from other people's angel messages. The people who are going to flock to Radleigh are people who are on the same vibrational level, the same tune, the same whatever, because they're the ones who are like, okay, I'm tuned into the station that I can hear. And what do oh, it's that pop star Rad, right? And he's singing the song that I like to dance to. If you don't know your song, no one's going to dance.
That's a great way of putting it. Yeah, I mean, it's very true. I think the curtain being pulled back here is that people are attracted to who you are as a healer, to who you are as a teacher, to who you are as a human being, and that's going to be what attracts them to working with you. You're right. They could get angel information in a million different places, mainly in Wikipedia. You could go and get some real good information on Wikipedia in there. On angel, there's tons of books, there's tons of courses, there's tons of teachers, but they're coming to experience Radleigh's version of it. And so I think that's a key part of like you stepping into this as a spiritual business owner, a spiritually based business owner, or somebody who's out there with a practitionership or sharing your gift and however it makes sense to you, is that they're coming to experience your version of it. And so imagine if you had a version of it that was built on a solid foundation where Michael had your back the whole way through, and that you had the agility to keep moving forward with Ariel in front of you, rewarding you for every step that you're taking forward. It's a great kind of little thing that I just connected in my brain, that she's rewarding us with every step we take forward. But I honestly believe at this point that if this spiritual information that's coming in about, how we want it to feel and what do we want it to sound like and what we want it to look like and all of those things, and what we want to have that experience of it, what is causing, and this is maybe the bigger question, is like, what is causing our egos to try to get in the way of that? Why is it? Is it trauma, do you think? Is it fear? Like what would you kind of say? And maybe it's multiple things, but what do you think that is?
I think that ego is always based on fear. And so there is so we talk about ego in this really super negative way, mostly. But if we try to be at all compassionate towards the ego that is within us, then we can make an argument that ego is trying to protect us.
Yeah.
The ego is basically trying to say, God, this could go so wrong. And if it goes so wrong, then Radleigh's not going to have trauma with a small t. He's going to have trauma with a capital T. And so I'm going to try to protect him from that. So that's the compassionate way of looking at it. I think the ego is not something that is born of spirit, but is born of the body.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are placed into physical bodies. I do believe in ancestral memory. I do believe in that whole, like, not just ancestral memory, but societal memory.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have this fight or flight thing, and it's built into us. Fight or flight is also an aspect of us that is the part of us that goes to negative thinking, because we go to this whole aspect of if it can go wrong, it will. And as opposed to what you like to talk about is not just what if the worst thing happens, what if the best thing were to happen? But ego wants to say, no, the worst thing's going to happen. I got plenty of history. We're talking like 4 million years of history here or whatever. And it's like, I got the history. I know what's going to happen. It's going to be really bad. You really need to listen to me. So to me, ego is of the body, but ego is also is not but a drama queen.
Yeah.
And a power, what do you call it? Power freak. That's not the right word.
Control freak.
A control freak. Thank you.
Yeah.
So it's a drama queen and a control freak. And so to me, I try to have the compassionate aspect and go, okay, I get where you're going. I understand. And, there is this whole line of thought that is like, thank you, ego, for what you are trying to do. I have this now. I thank you for your assistance, but I've got this and I'm going to, move forward.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just like, Michael, bring the sword. It's like that thing that sounds like
Michael!
it should be a country music song, right? Michael, bring the sword.
Yeah.
Michael, bring the sword. Right? It should be. But so I think it's fear-based. I think it's built into us, and that's what makes it so hard to get control of.
Yeah. And you're talking about like physical instinct stuff, like fight or flight is coded, you're right, into our physical bodies. And so it is, I guess the spiritual antithesis to fight or flight would be this kind of, I'll give it paranoia as the label, that fight or flight. We'll call that a paranoia set of structure. And the opposite of paranoia is pronoia. And I feel like nobody knows that word.
They don't.
Right. So it's the antithesis. It's like, if you're going to be wired physically to see things crashing and going over the cliff, you have to fight twice as hard to get to, and maybe with a little help from your archangel friends, to get to a place where you can supersede the instinct and go straight to the positive. Now, I don't think that that may be something that you spend your whole life trying to do. So it's like a little game of, every time I have this paranoid thought, my fight or flight, my ego, my whatever you want to call it, starts to happen, I have to take a breath. I have to step outside of it and then imagine the opposite, just to balance and cancel it out. I am going to be the first to admit that I don't think I did that great in math, but I think it's algebra where you have to cancel out the equations.
It's been a long time.
I know. I think that's what it is. I'm going to go ahead and venture. I'm sure people will tell us if it's not.
Well,
but it's like when you're looking at the equations of it, if you have all the numbers on one side and you have like X on the other, to me, it's like,
I think that's algebra. Yes.
Yeah, it's algebra. So you have to be able to balance the equations out by putting that pronoia against the paranoia and letting them, and then just releasing it, right? So that's what would happen. If it just cancels out, it's gone. So that's the exercise, I think, that we as spiritually based business owners, and you can start doing this, I can start doing it, everybody that's listening can start doing it, is anytime you have that fight or flighty kind of feeling of, ooh, what are people going to think? Or, ooh, what if they, don't like it? Or, ooh, what if I get in trouble? Or, ooh, I'm not good enough. If you can kind of remind yourself in that moment to stop and take a breath and say the opposite thing, like that, what if amazing things happen as a result of this?
Which
What
is
if,
pronoia for people's,
yeah,
the
pronoia.
definition, basically. Pronoia is expecting the best stuff to happen.
Yeah. The universe is out to support you, not the universe, not like everyone's out to get me.
Right.
Everyone's out to support me.
Exactly.
And it changes the way you relate to everything. And then I am imagining that, you know, if you've got Ariel and you've got Michael and you've got your guardian angels on either
Yes.
side of you,
Right.
this seems like the best, most safest, most awesome way to do this thing. Even
Right.
if you've been afraid of doing it before, even if you've wanted to do it before and you just never knew how, or you've done it before and it didn't go well, or, you know, people were telling you that it should be done a certain way, or that, you know, you were doing it wrong, or, you know, like anything that anyone told you or anything that you told yourself that was from that ego place, imagine now how different it would be surrounded by all these angels.
Well, and keep in mind, there is no angelic algebra. So none of these angels around you are going to cancel themselves out.
They won't.
You've got Ariel, you have Michael, and you have your guardian angels, and that won't change. And so you really do have this amazing team that is helping you to, and go back to the Claires, you know, see the business the way that you want to see it, feel the business the way you want it to feel, get the message out the way you want people to hear it, and to know the business is going to be exactly what you were hoping it to be. So it's like, right? It's like, right. And that was totally new too. Geez, what other new content can we come up with today?
Definitely not angel algebra. We will not be teaching
There
that
is no angel algebra. No, there's no angel algebra. There's not.
All right. Well, all of this to say,
Yes.
Rad, we're going to be doing something really special coming up, which is a 3-part video series on all of this information and so much more. If you've ever wanted to launch, if you've ever wanted to build, if you've ever wanted to grow your spiritually based business, whether it's angels, whether it's oracle cards, whether it's tarot cards, or what we like to call the magical unicorn realm, where you're just doing something that's uniquely your own, there are ways that you can do it, and there's ways that you can do it in a safe and gentle and joyful and just adventurous way, and we are creating that bubble for all of you to join in. So come on and check it out at radleighvalentine.com/biz, B-I-Z.
That's right. That's right. And the other thing that Mooney did not mention is guaranteed you will have a lot of fun.
Yes. Yeah.
Guaranteed you will have a lot of fun, because the Radleigh Muni show is hilarious.
Yeah.
It is.
We
Totally
do.
is.
And we haven't even started to share like one iota of the stories that we have that are
Nothing yet.
legitimate knee slappers. Legitimate.
That's right.
Knee slappers.
We haven't, but we will. So come join us, radleighvalentine.com/biz, B-I-Z. B-I-Z. Well, Mooney, thank you so much for joining me today on the Angel Tarot Show. Once again, you are listening to the Angel Tarot Show podcast, exclusively found at mindbodyspirit.fm. See you, hear you next week.